and did a bunch of slides and things to show you. But what we're going to do is we're going to actually go live. We're going to share the screen again here like this. I'm going to do this desktop like that, which is where we are. And we're going to open Premiere Pro. Now, when you open Premiere Pro, the first thing you see is this window. You've got a list of your previous projects down here, and you've got, that would be open project. You can open any of those that you've been working on, or you can go to a new project. And that's what we're going to do tonight. The new project, you first put in a name, and we're going to call this Bernie River. See how great I can type? Road walk. Well, let's make it walk. Okay, so Bernie River Road walk. And then the second tells you where you're going to store the pieces, and that's going to be here on the red drive in the Web Spinners Premiere demo for August 2000. All the pieces are going to go in there, and if I click Browse, I can go put it somewhere else. But we're going to leave it right there. I'm going to say OK, and then there's that scary window that comes up. Now, I can move this window just a bit. What you want to do before you start actually in Premiere is you want to get your clips and the pieces that you're putting together into your video together. And so what I've done over here is I have 5 folders, and I've divided up the pieces that I want to use in this demonstration. We've got video, and we have 4 MP4 videos. There are actually 3 MP4s and an MOV, but 4 videos. Sound effects, we've got a couple of sound effects that we're going to try out. Music, I've got 1 background piece of music. Images, you can actually put still images in, and we have the 5 images here. And then I did a couple of things with the drone. And so we've got 1 that flies and 1 that's the walk. Okay, now the reason they're all in these folders, and you may have noticed that they are all labeled as to what they are, as opposed to the QR3454.mov or whatever, the way it comes out of the camera. So you go ahead and name those pieces that you want to use, because when you're trying to edit the stuff together, you really want to know what you're looking at. So what we've got are those folders. Now here is the actual interface. Up here you've got the source window. Down here you've got what they call the project window. To the right, this is the timeline, and here is the program window. Okay, the timeline is where you put your pieces together in order of time. And here, the program window, you can hit play and you can see the preview of what your material is going to look like. Across the very top, you've got several tabs for different versions of this interface. Right now we're in editing, and that's where we're going to stay, but you can go to color, effects, audio, graphics. You can go to the CC libraries. We're going to stay in effects. Oh, one other thing over here, these are the tools. I jumped over the tools a second ago. You've got your selection tool here, and that can be accessed by clicking on it or typing a V, just like paste on a word processor. Type a V. The next one here is the next one we're going to use is the razor tool, and the razor tool cuts your clips into pieces for you. And that can be accessed by clicking it here or typing a C. And finally, we've got the text tool, pretty obvious text tool. You put your text in and you type a T to get there. All right, when you first start, so we can make this a little bit bigger. When you first start, you want to import your media. And if you click on the file menu at the top, go to import, and we're going to find, it's on the desktop, I believe. Where did I put it? Now that I named it so it would be all together. Again, this is here, let's go back and let's say, let's just look for demo. And it is a folder. Let's try Premiere as a folder on the Mac. And let's do it by date modified, which should get it up near the top. I think it's in here. No, it's not in there. Just a second. I'll find it. I know I will. These are old screen recordings. All right, we're going to do it another way. If I can't find it that way, here's what we do. We take the window over here and we shrink it down so I can see this window where I have all the folders. And it's just as easy to do this, select them all and drag them down to the project window. You see, it's going to add 5 things down here. Boom, 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 boom. So now in our project window, we can make the screen larger again. In our project window, we now have the 5 folders: the drone, images, music, sound effects, and video. Now, if we click on drone, for example, it shows you the 2 pieces that are in there, the 2 clips. And you can go in here and actually scrub back and forth to see what that clip looks like. You can also do it over here. You could then double click on that thumbnail and it puts it up here in the source window. And you have a scrubber up here where you can actually look at the video. Now let's say you don't want to use the entire video because with the drone, it started sitting in the grass. So if you hit play and let it start, when you get to the point where you want your video to start, you simply tap an I. That's the letter I on the keyboard. You let it run through to where you want it to stop. And I'm just going to run it down near the end here because what we want to do is we want to let it play here until we see, and we come down and we turn out toward the water, type an O. And you can see here that we have now just basically cut the center out of that piece. We can go up here and drag that to the timeline. If it had sound, the drone footage does not have sound. If it had sound, it would bring down the sound and the video. But then below that, in case you've got something where you only want the video, here you see the sound is grayed out because there's no sound, but you simply grab that, drag it down to the timeline. And what that does is it creates the walk video part as we're going to start our build into this video. You've got your video tracks up on the top half, video 1, 2, 3, and you can add more. You've got audio tracks going down 1, 2, 3, 4, and they correspond to the video tracks. I can use this slider and basically zoom in on the window on the timeline or zoom out on the timeline, but I can also grab it in the center and basically just move around on the timeline. And sometimes the timelines get very complicated and long, and you want to be able to zoom out and look closer or further away. All right, so we've got our base here. What are we going to add to this? Let's go back over to the project window, and let's look at, let's scroll this down. There we go. Let's look at the images, because we're on a sidewalk in the park, but we're also next to the river. So over here, I have this image, which I will just drag onto the timeline. You'll notice that if I move the cursor here, the software looks from the top down. So whatever's on the top, that's what it's going to see. So now the still picture of the river is above our walk video. So as it plays, you'll go walk, 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 boom, we're at the river. Okay, we want to do something more interesting with this video. So we're going to click on the still picture, and we're going to go back up here to the source window and click on Effect Controls. This lets you change all sorts of parameters with your image. So if we go over here and put this right there where we can see this image, what we want to do is we want to sort of, since it's a still image in a video, we want to sort of make it move. So what we're going to do is we're going to click the scale button here. And you'll see that it put a marker out here at the actual point in the video that we are. We can shrink this down and you can see it a little clearer like that. And we'll reselect that clip. Okay, now we want it to start at this full 100%. So we can grab that marker and move it right to the very beginning. So now it's going to open up in this position. We can move the cursor on down to the end of that clip. And when we get to the end down there, we want it to look like it's moving. So we can go here, we can add another marker, and we can say, let's zoom that in like we've flown down the river, okay? And while we've flown down the river, let's go ahead and add a position marker there. Then we'll go back here to the beginning. Maybe we will. I'm not going to delete those keyframes. I just want to go back to the beginning like this, to there, and add a position marker at that point too. So it starts here and it ends there. And we do it like this. If we hit the space bar, we use the space bar to start and stop. And so we can move it along like that, and then it cuts back to the walkway. Okay, we're going to go back to the beginning. I'm going to make this a little smaller again. The other thing we want to do, it's kind of abrupt. Actually, let's go to the end again. Let's do one other thing. We've set its position. Make sure it's selected. So it says overhead. We've selected its position down here. But let's actually say we want it to tilt up at the same time. All right? So now let's see if that works. We go back here. And what's wrong? What's wrong is the position at the beginning is incorrect. So we go back here to the very beginning, to there, and we make it, we're into the walk. We want to go into the overhead. There we go. You have to get the cursor in the right place. So we're in the overhead. We want to put a position here where this picture is in the right place. So let's go up here and put it back where it belongs at the beginning. Quit moving. Back to about there. That's the marker. Let's put it at the very beginning like that. And let's play it again. All right, one more time. We move in and sort of move up. So it looks like we're kind of flying toward those trees. Like I said, it's kind of abrupt, so let's go in here. If you use the Command or Control key and type a D, that's the letter D as in dog, you end up with what they call the standard transition. And the standard transition is always a cross dissolve. So if I'm in here and I click on the clip and do Command or Control D, it puts a cross dissolve at both ends. And here's what it does. Instead of just jumping over there, we fade into that picture, we move along, and then we fade back to the walk. Okay? So it gives a little smooth transition. All right, I'm going to just move along here. We're going to go to some other pictures that we want to put in here. And since we're by the water, we want to put in some aquatic things. So what I've got is I've got a picture here of a turtle in the creek. And what I did wrong, and I keep doing that because that's why I usually videotape these things, I dropped it here in the walk area. And what it does is it basically just cuts a hole and drops it in instead of letting it overlay. So I will Control or Command Z, back it out, take the turtle and put him over here, put him on that video 2 line, and he is too small. So if we select it, we can go over here, scale him up to about there. So we can see that turtle peeking his head out of the water. And when you move it, there'll be, here, I'll play it for you. Well, I'll do two things. I will make it fade in and fade out. Command or Control D, and you'll see we fade into the turtle, but it's there for too long. It's too long a clip. So we want to shorten that to, oh, let's say we see the turtle to about there. How do we shorten it? If you go down here and click on the end, you'll see it turns into this bracket with an arrow. And all you do is get the bracket with the arrow, cancel that, take the bracket with the arrow and slide it down to that marker. So now we see the turtle and we go back to our walk. If we wanted to have more of the turtle, you can just slide it on out, and now you've got a long transition into the turtle. Let's make him small again. There we go. So we'll continue our walk. We're going to go one more thing, and that's, there are a lot, besides turtles, there are a lot of ducks, and you can see the ducks are also too small, taken with a different camera, and so the image was smaller. We simply go over here, blow the ducks up, not literally, hit the scale button, the stopwatch on the scale, and bring that back to the very beginning. So we're going to start here, and let's just do something simple. We'll go to the end, and we will zoom in slowly on the ducks that way, put that at the end there. Okay, back here, Command or Control D, and we're going to fade in and fade out, and let's see what we've got. We see the ducks, and we're slowly moving in on the ducks and back to the walk. Now down here in the master video, in the walk video, you can see this little dock, and the dock is where people actually come and fish. I've been there several times, and I've never seen anyone catch anything, but the practice of casting is about all that it's good for. So let's put in one more piece, because there are a lot of families there. And here was a dad teaching his son how to fish. So we'll click on the fishing dad. We will click on the scale button. We will zoom that up so we can see them. Basically, you're repeating the same kind of action over and over again, sizing, moving, and so on. Command or Option D, we've got the fade in, fade out. We're going to make it shorter to about there. And by the way, if you look up at the source, at the program window, you can see as I move it back and forth, it shows left and right the image that I've got overlaid and the walk image underneath. All right, so we'll just go back here to the ducks for a second. We'll watch the ducks fade out. We'll walk a little further. We'll see the dad and his son fishing. Okay, now I've got something that sort of ties this together, and we're going to go back and find the videos, one of the folders that has the videos in it, and we're going to say, let's take this one called Bobber Out. I got a little video of some of their action in the water. So we'll go back here. Let's make this where I can see it. There we go. We'll go back here, click on Bobber Out, and we will start here and play that. And we want it to go just to about there. That's all we need, a little in and out. Now, you can see that that video is way too long, all right? We can go over and slide the end in like we did before, or we can click over here or type a C and get the razor tool. And with the razor tool, you simply click and it has cut that clip into two pieces. Type the V, go back to the select tool, take the second part of it, and you can delete it. Now you noticed here that it also has something down here on the soundtrack. We don't want that sound. That sound is just wind noise and so on. So you go up to the menu for clip and say unlink, or Command or Control L. They're now unlinked, and you can then click on the sound and say goodbye to the sound. We go up here, Command or Control D, and we're going to fade that in and out. And let's see what we've got. We see the dad and the son fishing. And we go to the water, and we see the bobber coming in and back to the walk. Okay, we're getting there. Now, besides all the ducks, there are lots of turtles. If I double click on the turtle video, you can see what we've got. We can take it back to the beginning, press play. As we press play, you can hear it's got bad sound. It's just what was going on. You can watch these turtles swimming. And if you click the I, that's going to be the in point. And you click the O, and that's the out point. Hit the space bar to stop it. Now, as you heard, it has audio with it, and we don't want that audio. So down here, you've got the video or the audio. So we're going to drag down just the video right about there. And we'll do the Command or Control D, put those fades in. We want this to be kind of soft, no sharp cuts. So there's the bobber, and we're in the water. We come back to the walk, and then we find turtles in the water. And there we go. Okay, so among other things in the park, we found, let's go back to our images, found this tree where someone had carved their initials into the tree. And there you can see you've got two tree trunks and a name carved. What is it? It's a name, of course. A name carved into the tree. We put the fades on it. We go here, and we're going to have it go back to the effects controls. We're going to have it start here. Let's make it a little further on just so we can see what we're doing without the crossfade. What we want to do is we want to start here, and we want to put a position marker at that point, and we want to put a scale marker at that point. So now we've got keyframes for position and scale that tells us where we're going to start. When we get to the end over here, we want to kind of move in on that little love note on a tree. So we'll scale it up a little bit, about, let's say there, and then we'll have it move to the center by using the position slider here and the scaling slider over here in the effect controls. So we'll take those two, just basically select them and drag them to the very end so that we're doing the walk, and we look at the trees, and we see somebody typed or scrawled alley into the tree. So we're walking along. We've got stop. Hit the space bar to make it stop. We've got a couple of other things we want to put in, and that is, go back here. We go back to the videos, because I've got a video of one of the, you've heard of the ugly duck? Well, this is one of them. Let's put him in there. This is a Muscovy duck, and they're not really very pretty. So you've got all sorts of ways to do this. We'll start right about there with his silhouette. We'll drag down to about there, and we'll drag the end in like so. Select it, Command or Option D, we put the fades in, and we'll go back here as we end with alleys. We walk along a little further. We see the duck. That's probably enough of the duck right there. So we're going to slide this in just a bit, shorten that clip up by sliding the end in. You can also see that we have audio here. Before, we simply deleted the audio, and before that we drug in just the video. You can also go over here to that audio track and hit mute, and then you just basically turn the sound off. If for some reason you might want to go back to it, but there's the duck in all his silent glory. I'm going to go ahead and delete that by going to Clip, Unlink, select the sound, and get rid of it. I will then unmute that sound. There was something funny going on, and we're getting to the very end here. Here are the videos. We have these ducks. I call them the Donalds, and they're all white ducks. They don't have a sailor suit, but they are Donalds. And so they're walking along and quacking as we're letting it play. Finger over the I button, the I key, because this guy right there in the middle spots something. Here he comes, and he starts yelling. He found somebody having a picnic way over there, and he leads all the other ducks over to try and wangle some extra food. Let's just shorten that up a little bit like that. So this one, we want to keep the ducks quacking. So we're going to go up here, and we're going to take the entire clip and drop it down there. All right? So Command Control D. And we're going to move it in a little closer like that. All right, we're almost to the end there. I'm going to move you can move the sound up so that they sort of stay closer together. So I moved it up to audio 1. Finally, as we end this, we're going to go back up. We're going to go back to the drone shot, and we've got one here called Fly. And I'm going to click it, double click it, bring it up in the window above, and we're going to slide it back and forth till because it was just kind of, what am I going to shoot here? So we're going to go to about right there and hit the I key, and then we're going to go, nope, it's still got that bobble. We're going to hit the I key again until we get to there we go, in point, and we slide on down to about there and hit the O for the out point, drag it over here. Here, just the video. Drag it over here, and I'm going to put it at the very end following our walk. And now, if I select, I don't want to do that. I got to get in here and select both of those clips, the walk and the fly, Command or Control D, and if I zoom in on that for a little bit, you can see that it put a crossfade between those two. So we've got the squawking ducks, which are too small, as you can see, but then we dissolve from the turn to the river to the final fly piece. All right, let's zoom this back, because what I didn't do was I didn't blow up the ducks, and which is what I was going to do in the first place. So again, effect controls, we're in the ducks, we click the scale button, we zoom them up so they fit. Okay, then we take this point, push it to the very beginning, so then if we play it, we'll go from the Muscovy duck. With the ducks running and squawking, and back, we turn toward the river, we dissolve into the shot into the sunset. So there, that's pretty much the video. But we've got a few more things to add. We're going to go back to the very beginning, because what we haven't used yet is the type tool. So if we go up here and click on the graphics window, you see all the layouts change. We now have over here the essential graphics window, and we've got a place to edit our graphics text. All you have to do is take the text tool, click in the window, and you get this little red box. And the little red box means that this is editable type. So we're now going to say, let's call this again, Bernie River Park. All right, if you click in the red box, you can select everything. And then over here in the graphics window, you can drop this down and find the font that you want. And I think it's going to be, no, not GG. Let's use Grana Padano. I don't know. Just a font. And here we're in medium. And we're going to slide the size up like so. We're going to click the alignment to put it in the center, but we also want it in the center of the video frame. So we'll click here, put it in the center vertically, here to put it in the center horizontally. We will also slide it over just a bit so it's not at the very beginning, make it fade in and out, and let's make it a little bit longer, okay? So here's what we've got. We press the play button, we start the walk, we get a title superimposed over the Burney River walk, and we continue to walk, and we've got the turtles and so on and so forth. Now, we want to hit the space bar and make it stop. Thank you. Here, I'll hit the button and make it stop. We want to go down here and put the title again at the end. So I select the title, I hold down the Option key, and I just slide it on down here. Now, we'll go down to the end where we can see it. We can drop it down right on top so we can see what it's doing. And I want the title to remain on the screen after the sunset fly shot has concluded. So I'm going to stretch it out a little further, make it start a little sooner, and then if I zoom in and find it again, there we go. If I click here, I've got actually the crossfade, and if I take this and slide the crossfade out, it makes the crossfade last longer. So we're just basically, you can see how the cursor changes. Instead of just with the arrow, it's now got that crossfade symbol on it, okay? So we've got a longer fade. Let's see what it does at the end. We come here, we're flying toward the sun slowly. Actually, no, because yeah, here we go. There's the graphic. Why is it not working? Well, I don't know. Let's just disappear it, go back to the beginning, and we'll try it again. I want to take the graphic, which we know is now disappeared there. I wonder why. I wonder why. I wonder why. Okay. That's the graphic. Let's go with it. Somehow I deleted the text, so we're going to go back in here. We're going to take the text tool. We're going to click in here. We're going to say Burney River Road Park. My typing is great. That's why we do this recorded. Okay. Burney River Road. 2 E's. No, that's not right either. R-O-U. Go away. Click right there. Okay, fine. I'll just click there and type the whole thing again. B-O-E-R-N-E. River. Road. P-A-R-K. Okay, then if we center it, and we center it, and we center it, we've now got Burney River Road Park there. Now, I don't know what this was, but it's going away. And we're going to put this down here. This is the title. We go back to the beginning. We're going to zoom this. We're almost there. Patience, patience. Putting the final touches on this. Put that in. Slide this back to about here. Let's play the beginning part again. Make sure it works. Okay, we've got a superimposed title. It fades out. Now, I optioned and slid it down. For some reason, that didn't work. But we're going to try it again. We're going to make it small enough that we can see the whole thing like this. We're going to select that one, hold down the Option key, drag it down here. Let's just let it play down here for a second, make sure that that's going to come up. Okay, so the title comes up. Now we can do those things that we were trying to do before, and that's stretch the title out so that it plays over the black at the very end after everything fades out. And then go here and click on the, and zoom in so we can do it, click on the crossfade part and make the crossfade come up as slow as possible. So now we'll go back here and we'll see just a real slow crossfade into the title. The background disappears, River Road Park stays there. Okay, so we're almost done. But what we want to do, one of the things we want to do is, it's just silent right now. So let's go over here to the, back to the folders and go to sound effects, because I've got a couple of sound effects here. And if you double click on a sound file, it puts it up in the window just like it was a video file, and you can play it. And we've got some water. Okay. Or you can, the other one I think is better because it's more subtle. We can play that one. Yeah, okay. So all you have to do, you can see here that it's only sound. So we drag that down to about right there where the water starts. And then we hold down the Option key and we duplicate it, because this is a looped sound. And we'll duplicate it one more time, like that. No, like this. Duplicate yourself. There, there, and snap to the end. There we go. Okay, so now you can just play a little bit of it. You can hear the water off to the side. And as we come up here, there's the Muscovy, and then you can still hear the ducks. And then we're at the end. Okay. Now the thing is, the video fades out, but we want the sound to fade out too. So we'll go down here and select that line and pull it down so we can see the audio path. And let's go right in here so it's bigger. Down to about here where we want the water sound to start to disappear. And how you do that, this little white line in here is the volume control for that sound file. If you hold down the Command key and click right there, you see you get a blue dot. If I go down here and Command click or Control click on the PC and you get another dot, if you pull that down, look what it does. It fades out the sound. So if we go right here, we've got the sound. We've got the title. And it fades out. Okay. One last touch. We're at 7:35. We're okay. We got one last touch here. I want to put some music behind it as well. So let's get it down where we can see the whole thing again. Oh, and the other thing you can do, of course, you see this extra sound. It's all silent out here, but if you, first let's go back to our editing menu. We were over in the graphics menu. If we click on the razor tool, we can go right in here to this line and cut that out so that sort of neatens things up and get rid of that extra stuff that we're not going to use. Now, let's go back over here to the music folder. One thing, I'm going to give us a little more room here by tightening up that line, and I'm going to grab this music piece and put it in here, starting at the very beginning. Now, the music piece is too short. Well, it happens. And so if you go over here and click on that tool, you've got the ripple edit tool, the rolling edit tool, and this one, the rate stretch tool. Remember when we were cutting the video, we were basically just pushing it back, cutting off the ends of it. But here, when you've got this tool, if you grab the end of it and pull it out there, it actually stretches it. Now, if it stretches an audio file, it's going to change the pitch a little bit, but I think this one will work fine. And we're going to spread this one out again so we can get down here. We're going to get back to the selection tool. We're going to click here at the end with the Command or Control key, click at the very end, have it fade out. We're actually going to have the music fade out for a little longer, go all the way to 0. And we're going to do it here at the beginning, so it just sort of fades in at the beginning. So we'll Command or Control, put a dot, Command or Control, put a dot, pull this down, and now let's see what we've done. Okay. And that's what we've made. Now, what are we going to do with it? Well, we have to get it out of Premiere Pro, and that's the very last step. You go to File, you go to Export, you go to Media, and you'll get this window. The format up here will just say Match Sequence Settings, and that'll take care of a lot of it. We're going to call the output name, we're just going to call it Walk MPEG. Now, if we don't match the sequence settings, we can go down here and have all sorts of choices. So we can put it out as a Blu-ray. We can put it out as a PNG movie. You can actually put it out as TIFF files. I let go of the clicker there for a second. You can put it out as JPEG and so on. So we're just going to match the sequence settings. So it's going to put it out as an MPG. You've got a summary here of the video and the audio and so on. We're just going to let it do what it wants to do. And we're going to click Export. Well, actually, let me check here. What I want to check is where it's going to go. And I'm going to put it out, actually put it out on the desktop. We just called it Walk. We're going to say Save. We're going to say Export. And it zips along. It renders, and then it does what it's called encoding. It takes about, right now, 1 minute and 51, 50, 49, 48, 47. It moves quite quickly. And the entire video that we put together is 1 minute, 34 seconds, and 29 frames. While it's doing that, you can see over here, this is the total length over here. And this is what the time code looks like. 1 minute, 34 seconds, 29 frames. A second of video, 1 second of video is 30 frames. And so we're at 1 minute, 34 seconds, and 1 frame off of 35 seconds. 47 seconds to go, 46. So it can get very critical about the length, especially if you're doing something, you know, for broadcast, because they have very specific time frames. You may have seen every once in a while a local commercial that cuts off at the very end because they made it a little too long. All right, it's done that. Let's see if I can take Premiere Pro out of the way, get this out of the way, and we should have this movie, which we just saw, but now it's an MPG. Full screen, full size. There's a lot to Premiere Pro. We've just barely scratched the surface here. There are all sorts of effects. There are all sorts of color corrections you can do. There's just, if you use Photoshop, you know how deep Photoshop is? This is equally deep as far as different ways to do things and different ways you can work with the same images. The important thing to know is telling a story. And we sort of told a story here about a little walk along the River Road Park. As the sun sinks slowly in the west, we leave the Burney River Road Park